Welcome, wanderers, light workers, seekers on the path, all awakening beings. Welcome to the Sons of the Law of One podcast. This is episode 8, the Mayan calendar and the transformation of consciousness. This material comes from the book of the same name by Dr. Carl Johann Kalaman. The Mayan calendar shares many of its messages with other spiritual traditions. We are all one, life has a purpose, and God is love. Yet it should not be overlooked that it also conveys a unique message. There is a deadline for the creation of the enlightened golden age at, quote, the end of time, and we all need to participate as co-creators in that process. This is the crucial message of the Mayan calendar that needs to be assimilated today. Many distortions and misunderstandings, as well as common skepticism toward prophecy in general, have, at least until now, blocked many from fully recognizing the divine time plan. Almost everyone who has studied the ancient civilizations of Mesoamerica agrees that the road to understanding their cosmology, the way the peoples looked upon the world, runs through their calendar. Clearly, the Maya were the people who had developed the most advanced calendrical system. It may seem odd that a calendar could be this important. Most would think the choice of a calendar is rather arbitrary and has little influence on the worldview of a civilization. But perhaps it is exactly because the choice of a calendar appears so unimportant, like a mere convention, that it has become a blind spot in our consciousness. The Gregorian calendar, instituted by Pope Gregory in 1582 and now in use worldwide, is taken as a given, and there seems little reason to replace or complement it. But what if this calendar exerts an insidious indoctrination that most people are unaware of and strengthens a worldview that is false? It is an alternative to the worldview imposed on us by the Gregorian calendar that the traditional Mayan calendar is now re-emerging from the ashes. The sacred calendar is a codification of the Mayan universe of holy time. The timeline of the Mayan calendar is unambiguously true and not of a hocus-pocus nature. Anyone with access to a standard encyclopedia can verify its validity from the facts of biological and historical evolution. The common criteria for a valid scientific theory are that it should be empirically verifiable and explain the widest possible range of phenomena in the simplest possible way. As we apply the Mayan chronology to human history, a significant wave pattern becomes visible. Examples of such wave patterns presented here are winds of history, the emergence of religions, the development of written communications, and the ups and downs of the world economy. These examples clearly demonstrate that we are living in a conscious universe whose built-in intelligence follows an exact schedule according to which humans are meant to evolve. In the schedule, we have now reached the semi-final underworld, the 8th of 9 basic Mayan time cycles, which means that the destiny of humanity needs to be fulfilled in less than 10 years. We are truly living in the 11th hour of creation. And by the way, that's less than 5 years now. This is the most important source of knowledge about the cosmic plan available to humankind, which leads to the further conclusion that the dissemination of the Mayan calendar in its true, that is, empirically verifiable form today is an urgent task for all of us. Spiritual books often repeat the idea that there are many different paths and that there is no right path for everyone. While this is true, it is too seldom recognized that it is true only in the narrow individualist sense. The only reason that there are any paths to begin with is that there is a cosmic time plan that governs the evolution of consciousness and propels us all to evolve on our paths toward a common destiny. This situation presents spiritual seekers with a choice. We may continue to use astronomically based calendars, and if we do, we will continue to see history as a series of chaotic random events. Alternatively, we may begin to use the traditional Mayan calendar and become aware of the contours of the cosmic plan and align ourselves with its evolution and consciousness. An important consequence of the ongoing evolution is the idea of the fixed human nature. It lacks any basis in reality. There is hope for humanity, not because we all suddenly choose to change for the better, but because the consciousness of humanity is subject to a cosmic plan that cannot be manipulated. To be immersed in this plan through the use of the Mayan calendar will further its fulfillment on both an individual and collective level. The key to understanding that prophecy is indeed possible lies in the recognition that human thinking is not something that takes place inside the head of a person in isolation from the rest of the cosmos. Our thinking, and by consequence our actions as well, develop largely through resonance with an evolving cosmic consciousness mediated by the earth, whose various energy shifts are described by the Mayan calendar. Thus we are all channelers, and frankly, at least until now, we have been able to think for ourselves only in a very limited sense. Through our resonance with the earth, we all have been more or less puppets of the cosmic plan. There is then nothing mysterious about the fact that the large-scale development of this world of puppets is essentially predictable. Prophecy is, in other words, fully possible, and to understand the patterns of the cosmic plan is a very important task for all of us. A great value of the Mayan calendar is that it provides us with knowledge of the energies that guide evolution. It is a tool that enables us to go with the flow. Although we have been unconscious of it, such guidance has always been available to human beings, and will be so until the completion of the cosmic plan on the day October 28, 2011. Yet for those who want to move away from being puppets and seek instead to become conscious co-creators, there is possible an awareness of energies driving evolution, an awareness that has not been fully available since the days of the ancient Maya. The traditional Mayan calendar is now revived, and its followers will be its modern exponents. The universal underworld in 2011 is what all of creation has been waiting for, its very purpose. It is when all things are brought together and all the conflicting ways of being, acting, and thinking will be resolved and unified in a light that makes it possible for everyone to understand everything, everyone else, and everything at once. All limiting thoughts will disappear. The ninth underworld may be seen as a gift from God, since it is not only about creating balance, but also the enlightenment given to humankind as an expression of divine grace. This is when we will fully understand why the cosmic plan was designed the way it was, and we will overflow with gratitude to the Creator. At the same time, we will recognize our own divinity, for there will be no separation between the divinity of the Creator and our own. Not surprisingly, there are several myths from different parts of the world that talk about the nine worlds. In Norse tradition, the cosmos was believed to be made up by 9 worlds, and to the Hopi, there are also 9 worlds. In the unification of science and myth that is now taking place, these and a number of others can be recognized as referring to the 9 underworlds of the Mesoamerican tradition. What makes the Mayan calendar tradition unique is only its precision. Paradoxically, the Mayan calendar system draws to a close. On one hand, time will be experienced as moving faster than ever before, and on the other, as if it were not moving at all. The enlightened consciousness developed in the universal underworld will be pulsed onto mankind in a wave movement of the 13 heavens that cover the period of only 260 days. This reflects a frequency of change of the heavenly energies that by far surpass anything anyone has ever experienced. Yet there is every reason to believe that at the same point, quote, time will come to an end, since time is an experience that is predominantly mediated by the left brain hemisphere. In actuality, the experience of time exists only in a world dominated by imbalance, created by duality. As balance between the two hemispheres is created, instead of time we may expect to experience pure being, moment by moment. The paradox, of course, is not easily resolved by someone whose mind is still dominated by the dualities generated by lower underworlds. The ego that was established to serve the dualist mind in navigating their changing waters and to maintain a sense of continuity for the individual in the midst of them simply cannot survive at the high frequency of the universal underworld. The ego is not consistent with the unitary field of light that will then be ruling the world. In a dualist frame of consciousness, the ego was an important tool for survival. In a unitary frame of consciousness, it will jeopardize the survival of the individual. In an underworld dominated by unity and enlightenment, acting and thinking based on a dualist frame of mind will become impossible. At the frequency of change that will prevail in the universal underworld, with shifts between days and nights taking place every 20 kin, the mind has to be disengaged if it is not to lead the individual to complete heartbreak or personal collapse. Even with proper preparation, for a person who is well aware of the workings of the cosmic plan, the conflict between 5,000-year-old dualist mind and the unitary consciousness of the universal underworld can only be successfully resolved in one way, through the excision or slaying of the ego, and the ensuing creation of space for the enlightened way of being to take over. The intent and humility of each one of us will determine the outcome, as we will then be endowed not only with a galactic but also with a non-dualist universal frame of consciousness. These frames will also make it possible for us to see the events of the past from a different perspective, being fully immersed in the present, without the dualist mind's needs for maintaining continuity with the past. The universal underworld will allow for true forgiveness. The book of Revelation refers to this in verse 21:4. Quote, "And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are all passed away." From the perspective of the universal underworld, the former things will have passed away. By 2011, the dominance of the dualist mind will wither, and all the conflicts of humanity originating in lower levels of consciousness will be resolved. From the perspective of the enlightened state, the old order will no longer be real. The advanced technologies developed by the dualist mind will find the place they were always meant to have, in service to humanity and the living cosmos, not as tools of domination. By then, not only the old monarchic rule, but also democracy will be a thing of the past. If everyone lives in unity and harmony with the divine, why elect someone to rule them? All hierarchies will have crumbled. With the end of duality, the dominance of one soul over another will naturally come to an end. So there will be no need for a government, which is like the ego of a nation, to steer people through conflicting interests. All human beings will, in a much deeper sense than at present, be recognized as having equal value, each as her and his own manifestation of the divine. In the process of climbing to the universal level of consciousness, all limiting thoughts will disappear. Once this has happened, we will be able to fully experience the unity with all that is, moment by moment, or frame by frame, as it were. Such an experience, frame by frame of consciousness, will allow for total sensual enjoyment in the present moment. Lacking the mind's need to maintain continuity, we will experience complete freedom, and our status as puppets of the divine process of creation will come to an end. No longer will there be an experience of separation between human beings and God. If we do not experience ourselves as gods, we will, at the very least, experience ourselves fully as the manifestations of the divine that we truly are. As a corollary, to wait around to see what will happen in the year 2012 is to totally miss the point. It will simply not be possible not to be enlightened after October 28, 2011, or at least not from a certain time afterward when the new reality has definitely manifested. With a dualist mind, it will not be possible to be in resonance with the new unitary divine reality under one power, the Creator. It would thus seem wise for us all to prepare ourselves, beginning today, by immersing ourselves in the cosmic flow of time, and in all possible ways seeking to transcend the influence of dualist underworlds on our thinking, acting, and being. After all, the universal underworld will favor an enlightened state of being, of love and joy, and once this has been established, no reversal to duality will be possible. This will mean the return of an apprehension of the living cosmos. The enlightenment that this cycle brings will allow for true and complete healing and forgiveness of the past, which humans will also extend to God, whose relationship with human beings, because of the duality of lower underworlds, has sometimes been perceived as antagonistic. When the energy of 13 Ahau is reached in all underworlds, no filters will block our vision of divine light in our communion with the divine. We will come to live in the New Jerusalem, having reached enlightenment after climbing the 9 underworlds and completing the 108 movements of Shiva. After the building of its 9th level has been completed, humankind will be ready to stand at the top of the cosmic pyramid. Humanity will be complete, living fully in the present at a higher level of awareness and with pure enjoyment of living. The creation cycles that have served to build the cosmic pyramid, partly by making human beings into puppets, will come to an end. The life of universal humankind will begin. And as we have seen in the history of humankind, it takes a certain amount of time until the new frame of consciousness finds its full manifestation. It is only realistic to expect that something similar will be the case after the enlightened universal frame of consciousness is finally established. Even if the status of human beings as puppets of creation disappears through the influence of this energy, it seems unlikely that we will immediately be expressed in stable forms. Hence, the year 2012 may also be a period during which many people will have to find ways of adapting to the new frame of cosmic consciousness. If nothing else, we will need to adapt to the fact that everyone around is now enlightened and has full faith that a millennium of peace, the golden solar age, has finally dawned on Earth. This does not mean that a new cycle will begin. It is the end of cycles. With the ego slain in the universal underworld. The heavens will favor a consciousness that is devoid of inner conflicts and produces no external conflicts. The year 2012 in particular, however, will be required for its enlightened state to settle in a number of individuals who may not have been fully prepared for it. For the final settling of the enlightenment consciousness of the universal underworld, the celebrations on the occasion of the Venus transit of June 6, 2012 will be very important. They will be expressions of gratitude to the divine cosmos for having brought us to where we are. Both Mayan and Christian sources talk about an end to death at the end of time, and Eastern traditions talk about the enlightened state as deathless. The ancient traditions all point in the same direction, a timeless, enlightened state of cosmic consciousness. We may then rightly ask, who in such a state needs a calendar? The Mayan calendar will have come to an end, and its use becomes meaningless. The calendar is like a staircase that is absolutely necessary to bring us to the top, but serves no purpose after we reach it. In the year 2011, at the point when all underworlds have attained the sulking energy of 13 Aha, the divine process of creation is complete. What the future will be is not predictable from the Mayan calendar, because the wave movement of all of its underworlds will have come to an end. It is the nature of the enlightened human being to be totally free to live according to his or her choosing. With such a freedom and liberation from the cosmic plan, the further destiny of humankind is impossible to predict. We will be completely free to chart our own destiny. Humanity will live in true freedom, joy, and peace. You can get more information by going to Calleman.com, that's Calleman, or the Sons of the Law of One.com. Music for this episode was Invoking the Hawk's Spirit, Native American Flute Works. Album is Sun Chasers and can be accessed at the Sons of the Law of One.com music credit. If you have any material that you found that you would like to suggest, or any other suggestions at all, send it along at contribute@thesonsofthelawof1.com. And please go to the site and subscribe to get each episode as they are published automatically downloaded. That's all for now. Love and light to all.
You see, we're on a mission from God.